Roadside Picnic by Arkady and Boris Strugatsky. So this book was copyright 1972, and I have a copy here that I got from my library. It's a more modern reprint, and I think it's the way to go with a lot of these translated works. You probably get the best translation in a more current edition of these books. Now, if you saw the picture I used in my thumbnail, I would love to find the Timescape version of this book someday. It's one of my kind of white whales that I'd love to find. I probably won't ever find it in the wild. I'll probably have to go and pay good money for it from some bookseller or on eBay. But it's a great book. I really enjoyed it overall, and I'd love to have that iconic copy in my collection. But I had first heard about this book really back a long time ago. I played the video game Stalker, and I found out that it came from a book, and I knew it was from some Russian authors. I was too intimidated to even try reading it at the time. And then so it's been on my peripheral for a long time, and then recently I decided to watch the movie. I'd been aware of the movie for a while, but in case you don't know, it's like a 2-hour and 40-minute movie. It's all subtitles. And this scene here on the cover of this book is just one of the classic, iconic scenes from the movie. And so a few weeks ago, I watched the movie. So I watched it before I read the book. And I was under the impression that this was going to be a really challenging read. And I wouldn't say it's really challenging. We'll talk a little bit more about the movie towards the end of the video. I don't think it ruined any of my enjoyment of it because they were like different enough. But let's just kind of get into what this book is about. So this book is broken up into kind of like 4 unique parts, and you can think of them almost as missions. And you get a little bit of an intro where people are talking about these zones that showed up on the Earth. You kind of assume it's in Canada or the northern part of America. And these people realized that these 6 zones came down in this specific geometric pattern that came from a distant star. And so they're really speculating that this is a alien visitation. No one saw these aliens. These zones just kind of appeared. And there's a lot of mystery, there's a lot of danger to go into these zones. No one really knows what these are about, but they do know that these came from some sort of alien source. So the idea is we now know we're not the only ones in the universe. There is other intelligent life out there somewhere. We don't know what it is, but that something visited the planet Earth. So then we get into the first section, and we're introduced to the main character. He's throughout this whole book, all 4 sections kind of revolve around him, and his nickname is Red. It's easier to pronounce probably than his full name. And he is a stalker, and what a stalker is someone who goes into these zones without permission to try to find artifacts and navigate through this kind of labyrinth of danger to pull some things out of these zones and sell them on the black market or sell them to these people who are doing research on these weird alien artifacts. And when we're first introduced to him, though, we know he was a stalker. He was going in there without permission, but now he's kind of trying to change his life, and he's working through this institute with a fellow scientist. And so they go on a mission into the zone to recover something, and they have full permission. They have all the paperwork. The guards let them through. And what it is Boris and Arkady really describe some kind of very alien type thing. So there's a lot of different artifacts they talk about, but this specific mission, there's these things that are like containers, and there are 2 discs, and they're a certain distance away from each other. They can't be pulled apart. They can't be pushed together. and you can run your hand through the middle of them. It's just real unique. It kind of boggles the minds of our humans and our scientists. They can't explain how this works. It kind of defies the laws of physics, and it's just very unique. Well, our stalker knows where one of these containers happened. He stumbled across one, or saw one at one point when he was going into the zone, and he saw one that was full, and it had this kind of fluid in it. So they go on a mission to try to retrieve this full container, which would be the first of its kind brought back so they can study it. Now, our main character, he's kind of like a normal guy, but he really respects this zone. He uses a lot of caution. He uses intuition. He has some tricks to navigate through certain areas because there's danger lurking everywhere and it's not apparent. There's these kind of like gravitational anomalies you have to avoid. There's this kind of webbing, almost like spider webs, and that he just looks at things at different angles and he can spot some potential dangers, and it's what's made him successful to be able to go in and out of these zones and not die for one reason or another. So this first introduction section of the book, that's kind of the main plot of our characters going in to retrieve this thing, and there's three of them that go in, and some stuff happens. I don't want to, I'm not going to spoil any of it, but he ends up coming out. He of course lives. He's the main character through the whole story, but each section kind of takes on a little bit of a different tone. His how he's treated from this institute, what his thoughts are towards the institute, whether he's going to keep going in legitimately or go back to being a stalker, what he's really trying to find in these zones. It all kind of plays out as you read through these different sections and these episodes of him going into the zones with different people at different times. And this area, a lot of people have fled this area because there's a lot of weirdness that has even creeped out past these specific zones, to the point where it's even affected humans and animals and plant life. And, things have kind of morphed a little bit, and it even affects his personal life and things like that. So the book is really good. It reads easy, I thought. It has some kind of deeper philosophical themes that are kind of embedded in there. The book is less than 200 pages, yet it still felt fully fleshed out. You get into our character, you kind of feel for him and some of the other characters. It was just really good. Some of the best things I liked about this is how alien they made this feel and this tone throughout the book. It's very kind of ominous, mysterious. There's kind of danger lurking around every corner. And the things that they're describing are they feel really alien because they never got a glimpse of these aliens. And the name of the book is it's explained a little bit later in the book. I don't really think it's a spoiler, but if you would imagine humans going through a part of the country that had some animals around there had never seen a human, but the animals are asleep, the humans stop, have a picnic, they leave some debris on the ground, and they leave, and these animals come along and find this stuff that could end up poisoning them, or they're just curious about it. They just don't know what's going on with this. They've never experienced humans before. So the idea is that these aliens stopped by, had a picnic on Earth, left some trash behind, and here these humans are trying to figure out what it means, or if it even means anything, or if it was just this random occurrence. So it was all done really well. I enjoyed every bit of this book. The ending was good, but it's one of those kind of purposely ambiguous endings. I did a little research afterwards, trying to figure out if I missed anything, and it seems like it is a bit open for interpretation. Some of the last paragraph of this book is pretty amazing. some of the things our character is saying, it just really kind of, it makes you wonder, it makes you question a lot of what was going on through the book. And overall, it was a great read. You know, I would give this a really high 4-star probably. I don't know if this is quite a 5-star book for me, but, you know, it was the first book I've read from the brothers Strugatsky, and I really want to read some more of theirs in the future. Now, talking about the movie was done really well. I think, you know, I watched it first, so I had that theme, or the tone of the movie in my head while I was reading the book, so that could have influenced how I was reading it and envisioning some of the things. But I think the director, I forget his name, famous director, but you know, I'm not a huge movie buff, but really captured the theme. But it's almost like the movie was one episode of going into this zone. And it wasn't really one of the 4 episodes in here. It was like he took bits and pieces of the 4 different episodes that kind of happen in this book and kind of merged them together and did the movie. The ending is, I think, quite a bit different in the final outcome. It does make you think. It's definitely an open-ended ending as well, but there's something specifically that happens at the end of the movie that was quite a bit different than the book. But you know, I don't think you could really pick to read the book first or watch the movie first. I don't think it would really change your outlook of it. I could be biased and not even realize it, but the movie just felt different enough that I don't think it would really affect your enjoyment of the reading the book. So that's it for this one. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.